Welcome to the Catherine Vandome and Me podcast.
Hello and welcome to Catherine Vandome and Me. And today I'm joined by a very talented guest who is a singer and makeup artist. And we have performed together on stage many times. And it gives me great pleasure. She's here to share a very inspiring story. Please welcome onto today's podcast, Samira Rankin. Hello, Samira. How are you?
Hi, thank you so much for having me today. This is very exciting.
You look fantastic, Samira, as always.
Thank you. I think it's the headscarf that always puts a little bit of a touch on it. Do you know what I mean? Because I've got so many of them, and today I thought it was a salmon. Oh, let's move that. It's a salmon pink day today.
Gorgeous. Well, I think I've almost matched you with the orange there.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And I'm loving your backdrop, Samira, as well. What some great creations there.
Yeah, so I drew that.
Did you?
Yeah, well, I painted that. Sorry, I didn't draw it. I can't really show you. There's a couple there. The heart one, my mum did. So one of the things that obviously you'll find out later is when I was going through my therapy, I found art because I needed to express myself in a sort of way that was calm, that was in my own space, in my own time, something creative, something to see that I'd done afterwards, like an actual physical thing.
Yeah.
I am not by my mum is an incredible artist. She's had people buy her. Like she had a stall in Glastonbury a few years ago. You know, she's again, she found her art through therapy. And she bought me when I went into therapy, she bought me those, those colouring books that you kind of colour just to kind of get. Yeah. So they kind of put me a little care package together, and that was in it. And I loved doing that. But then when I was out, I started going to shops and finding canvases and paint, and then I just started painting.
Wow.
And it's funny because obviously we'll talk about this later, but in where I was in rehab, people deal with the evenings different ways. So a lot of people will go and watch a film. A lot of people will do puzzles. Some people will just sit and chat. I literally took myself off and painted every night, and I was known as the person that went and painted.
Oh, how beautiful.
Yeah, it was. It was a chance to sit on my own. It was a chance to reflect. It was a chance to kind of put my feelings down on sort of a canvas, really. And like I say, I am no way an artist, as in I would never, this is not stuff that I would ever sell or anything like that. This is purely for my own sort of
healing journey.
Massively healing journey. And this one I got because I love discovering new things, and I bought some squeezy pouring stuff the week before. I've got a massive one downstairs.
I love your technical name there, Samira. Some squeezy pouring stuff.
Squeezy pouring stuff, yeah. And this one picture I found. So where I get my canvases from, there's a charity shop where I am, and it has. I always try and support local charity shops as much as possible. And it's the international aid one. So obviously, it's going to a really, really good cause. And I got to know the owner really, really well. And it is literally, he knows now if a canvas comes in, he puts it aside because he knows I'll buy it.
Wow.
And what he does is he gets them, and people donate them, obviously. And this one I had was, we're talking that big. It was absolutely massive. So I thought, gosh, I can't really paint that. I don't really know. So I got some spray cans.
Wow.
Yeah, and I started painting. So I took it outside. It was a beautiful night. And I painted the backdrop sort of like a yellowish colour. And then I got a gold spray can, and a black one, and then some metallic stuff. And I just went to town. best hour I've ever had.
Fantastic, Samira. Well, thank you for giving literally a colourful opening of your talents and another additional talent to what I described you as having. So as a makeup artist, you've obviously got some sort of intonation regarding colour and beauty and print, and you've got something from your mum's side as well with a beautiful gift that, as far as I'm concerned, I think you could sell those. I think they're fantastic. And
Oh, well, that's
yeah,
kind.
absolutely, very professional. So basically, Samir, what I'm hearing is you've had a bit of a journey. You've been to rehab. You've opened with the core of what your story is today. But most importantly, you also have additional gifts, including singing, which is you and I were on stage together when we were young, and we're going to take you. We're going to take you back, Samira. If you'd like to, and we'll take you right back to your youth, and we'll start there so that the listener can hear everything about you and how your incredible journey came to be, and where you are, of course, today, which is fantastic and looking fabulous as always. So going back to your childhood, were you born in Preston like I was?
I was actually born in Blackpool, but I am a Prestonian.
Yeah.
We firstly lived in Pemberton, but then moved to Broughton when I think I was 6 or 7, and lived a very beautiful, happy, colourful life in Broughton. Um, I am one of 5.
Oh my
So
goodness.
I have 4 siblings, ranging. Well, I am the oldest, and then I have twin brothers, a younger brother, Carrie, who's Carrie, obviously.
Yeah, he was on stage with us. Yep.
He was. The twins, and then Beth, who's my sister. So yeah, big family.
Wow.
Big family. Lived in Broughton. I attended Broughton High School. I was kind of. I mean, It wasn't the best time. I was a little bit lost at school. I think it's because I was very creative as opposed to academic.
Yeah.
So I never really found my kind of thing in school, until my drama teacher discovered I could sing, Mr. Jackson.
My goodness, can you sing? Superb singing. Yeah.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. Yeah, he basically, I think we were doing something, and he just kind of went, "You can sing," and I was like, I know, it was literally one of those moments, and I ended up doing a play in around Christmas time, and I think no one knew, not even my parents. They were just like, it wasn't like we had done like a bit of theatre, like musical. Do you remember? Were you in Preston musical? Not Metropolitan Society. It was the youth theatre.
I was. That's where,
Yeah,
yes, we did a lot there. At the
that's where
Charter
we met.
Theatre. Charter
Right.
Theatre, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I went there, but I was always kind of in the background there. I just did it because I like doing that kind of stuff. Um,
And
and
that
then
was
we went,
musicals, wasn't it? That was singing, dancing, and acting, Samira.
yeah,
So,
yeah, it was singing, yeah. And I loved it because it was like-minded people, At school, for me, they weren't, no one was really into that kind of stuff. Um, and but there, I was with like-minded people that enjoyed it, like yourself. I think Carolyn was there.
Carolyn
Um,
Bolton, yes.
yeah, she was there. And it was just a really lovely time. It was the first time I ever got on stage at the Charter Theatre, which back then, you remember taking your little makeup box, but
Yes.
it was
Yes.
and it was so exciting because you'd sit in the dressing room, and you'd literally think you were on the West End, wouldn't you?
Yes, you would. And the standard was very, very high as
Very
well.
high.
And I think we had to audition to get in, which was part of
Yeah.
it. But there was a lot of older people. So we would be younger, and there's a lot of older students as well, up to about 19, possibly 20. And they were also our sort of influences, weren't they?
Absolutely. It was just a really joyous time, and I remember feeling so fulfilled when I would come back from doing either a rehearsal, but then the actual shows themselves, it was like the excitement and
Yeah.
the sort of the anticipation of everything, and then seeing your parents' faces afterwards of how proud they were was just like, and I think that's where I sort of discovered that I really enjoyed the arts, you
Yes.
know. And then I went, obviously, at Broughton High. Mr. Jackson discovered I could sing, and then we were at the Hall Players, which
Yes.
was another really, really fun thing
Where
that
we
we
did
did.
Bugsy Malone and Joseph, and yeah.
That was great. Well, I remember because Carolyn was Tallulah, Carrie was Bugsy. Carrie, my brother, was Bugsy, wasn't he?
And I was Fizzy, which is a very
Yes,
unusual
you
casting.
were.
Casting
You
against type,
were.
which is
Oh
perfect.
my God.
A
Yeah.
woman and
At least you played a woman. I played a dude. Come on. I played Dandy Dan. I
oh
remember.
no, I was a man. I was Fizzy. I was the come back
Busy.
tomorrow, the man that can't.
Oh,
Yeah.
The night, yeah, I feel you. Literally, it was. Yeah, it was. I remember that feeling when they, because obviously Carolyn, my young man, Carolyn, who is the most incredible, glorious singer anyway.
Absolutely.
Suited that part. I mean, it was written for her.
It was.
It was written for her, and so there was never any jealousy there, because it was like, no, she definitely deserved that. Carrie, by the way, Carrie doesn't sing now, and he's very like, no, I didn't do
that. This is your brother, who's also in my book very talented, very talented.
Yeah. It does come out sometimes, but not very often.
And it was under the tutelage of Carol Buckley, and Carol Buckley, another phenomenal performer and teacher. And I have to say, a huge inspiration for me in childhood. And she encouraged me to play comedy old ladies, which was my forte.
Oh my gosh, I remember. Jeez, it's all coming back. Yeah, I remember. I just got this image in my head now.
Yeah. And as you say, it was a team. We were encouraged in these productions to work as a team. There was no competition. It wasn't like that. It was beautiful. It was so much fun.
At its finest, because it was support. I never felt any. This is why now I am so supportive of my friends in the arts.
Yes.
We have never. I mean, I've got friends that have gone on to do some incredible stuff, like top notch, and the proudness that you feel is phenomenal, and it stems from having that camaraderie when you're younger, and that support and nurturing as well, and knowing and supporting someone's absolute talents, and so so Hall Plays was a really special time. The little church hall, and and that was fantastic. And then I went on to study drama at college, which was a little bit of a different experience for me, because it was a bit more. I did theatre studies, and it was very serious.
Oh, I did the same. Is that Preston College?
Yes. Yeah. So it was. I was in the year. I did a foundation course first, because I didn't do very well in my GCSEs. So I had to do a foundation course first, and then I went on to do A levels.
Okay.
But it was a bit. I did performing arts, and that's where I got introduced to contemporary dance, which I at the time I mean that I then fell in love with like Rambert and like dance companies like that. But that for me at Preston College, there's quite a lot of favoritism I found. So I never felt that I was kind of pulled out of myself there.
Okay.
I felt that I was kind of just the people that were really good. I went on to study with someone that was in my year in LEPA, but I never really. I went a little bit introverted again.
But I just wondered, are you naturally confident, or perhaps a little shy underneath? I just wondered what your natural personality type was or is.
With the right people, I'm confident.
Yeah.
If I don't know you, I mean, I'm very, I mean, I mask a lot, and that was very much brought out in therapy, in rehab, that I am very good at masking. I'm very good at everything's fine, everything's great. What's that saying when you're just a when you're swimming on the water, but the duck's feet are
Yes,
like,
your feet are paddling, but you're
yeah,
looking like like me. I was also a makeup artist for a period of time as
yeah,
well, but it's a physical putting on of a mask in the makeup artistry
absolutely,
work as much as
yeah,
it is in the acting work. So,
yeah,
like yourself, very much put a mask on, everything's fine, even if it
oh,
isn't, and it's
oh,
fine until it's not fine. And that's your story, which is
yeah,
incredibly interesting to hear. So you
yeah,
kind of felt like you were confident in the field of theatre and performance and surrounded by like-minded souls who were encouraging each other, which is always fantastic if you're
yeah,
blessed to find groups like that. Um,
mm,
but at the same time, as you said, the duck feet were paddling. You felt like you didn't have or could have found your own voice, particularly at Preston College, which is when we're that teenage years, it's very hard to
oh,
work out who we are.
I had no clue. I think I went through a bit of a goth stage. Well, I did go through a goth stage, like Doc Martens, the lot, you know. Um, I, I didn't know who I was. I was doing this course that I think I could have got a lot more out of, but I just didn't feel that I was really, um, yeah, I just never found my place there. I didn't
Yeah.
feel included. I felt it was very much the popular ones and the people that weren't particularly popular. And
Okay.
yeah, and that was the first time that I'd felt that since school,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
But I did okay. I did my A levels. I got good grades. But it was then when my mum and dad saw an advert in, I think it was the Lancashire Evening Post, and it was like I was wondering what I was going to do. I was like, I have no idea what I want to do. There was things to do with teaching. I even thought about going into the police at one point.
Wow.
I never really thought about. I knew I wanted to work with people and I wanted to do something with people.
Yeah.
Um, so a new school in Liverpool opened by Paul McCartney, right?
Right.
And it was called Lipper. And we and it was there was not a lot made out about it. It was just there was names being thrown all over the place. It was like Paul McCartney, and it's going to be music and drama and dancing and acting and blah blah blah. And anyway, so mum and dad were like, "You need to get on this, girl. Come on, you need to like." So I auditioned for it, not thinking anything, and I went along to the audition, and it was really bizarre because it was a group audition. And originally, I signed up to do community art because I wanted to work in community with people.
Yeah.
Um, and anyway, I got accepted, which was just like to bits of the
Wow.
school.
Can I just ask what year this was when this Lipper opened? Can you remember what year?
So it's been, I think, it's nearly 30 years now. So it opened
1990.
7,
Okay.
90, no, 96. But it's coming up. I think it's 28 or 29 years this year,
Okay.
September, that it's been open.
And what was
And
the
we were
course that you actually got onto, Samira?
so my title of the degree, because we were affiliated underneath John Moore's.
Yeah.
It was BA in Performing Arts, sub bracket um, Community Arts.
Brilliant.
So it was taking music, theatre, dance into the art, community, and and I thought that's what I wanted to do. Um, and so we started late actually because the building wasn't ready. So we were meant to start September. We got a notification saying actually it's not ready, but come along for 2 weeks. We'll put you up in the hotel and we'll just do workshops for 2 weeks. It was amazing. I met people. So Lipper is predominantly people from all over the world. It's
Wow.
it's very much an inter. Paul McCartney's idea at first was that he wanted to be able to create a place for people that couldn't afford to go to London, and that was his whole kind of ethos behind it at first. But then people from Norway started to come, America, Japan. We had people from Korea. We had people from Germany. It was literally like international. So my first 2 weeks, I was meeting people from all over the world. I'd never done that before.
Yeah.
It was like I was going on a ferry down the Mersey. It was very much in the press by then. So you had German TV, you had Dutch TV, American TV, and I was like a rabbit in headlights because I'm a little girl from Broughton. You know, the most exciting things that happen in my life, you know what I mean? And then suddenly I'm just like, wow, okay. And then I got talking to all these people, and I just went, wow. And that's when this feeling in my belly went, I'm part of something pretty cool.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
incredible to hear that, Samira,
yeah,
because like you say, we are sort of we go through the process of schooling and tutelage and we meet like-minded souls, and then suddenly you're springboarded into this brand new world, community theatre arts, which involves the whole, you know, globe.
yeah,
And as you say, you're then meeting brand new people from all over, from all different walks of life, and celebrating that community theatre work together. And what did the course give you, Samira?
Well, so I started in the community arts thing, and unfortunately, it wasn't what I wanted. So
Okay.
I found that out quite quickly, that it wasn't giving me. It was very acting based, and I am not the best actor. I'm a great musician. Acting is something I can do, but it's not like where my heart is.
Yeah.
I'm more on the music side. So I had a chat with my tutor, and he said, why don't you swap to the music course? And so I went, great, because I thought that's where my career was veering towards. So anyway, started the music course, and then it was just like I found my place. I found
That was
exactly.
it. That was it. And did anybody else on the community theatre course switch as well, Samira?
No, no, just me, just
Just
me.
you.
But
So then you've got to
yeah,
find a whole brand new team of people and a new set of
yeah,
people to
yeah.
mix with. And that also was that exciting as well.
Oh well, because we were such a small group anyway. I think there was like 170 of us in the whole university. If you think
Okay.
about how big Lipper is now, Lipper's huge. It has primary schools and sixth forms and all kinds of stuff. We were 170 people in the whole university, so we pretty much knew everyone else. So we were all close, no matter what course you did. We were all close. My brother used to laugh, and he used to say, "Is it like that canteen scene out of Fame? You know, where they go in and like people are playing guitars?" And it kind of was.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah.
It was like, there was
So you
always
were
some
living
kind
the
of
dream. You were living the
oh,
dream.
I was living away from home. I was going out at night. I was doing music in the daytime. I literally had found my people and I'd found my place. So yeah, so 3 years of that, I did some incredible things. I went to Germany to sing in the Reichstag. I was in fact one of the first people since the Reichstag opened since the war to sing there. In fact, I think we were the first. I was on ZDF TV singing. I backed for some incredible people. Like the opportunities were just nuts, like crazy. And I was but I never took it for granted. I was always very humble to it because I've been brought up very well by my parents, and they're always like, just remember where you are and what you did, and take like photos in your brain of every single moment and opportunity. And I still to this day get goosebumps. If I had hair, I'd get goosebumps
Oh,
because like it was every day was just a wow, wow, look where I am, look what I'm doing and stuff. And so yeah, so 3 years of that was incredible. to this day, my group, they're my people. My best friends are still my friends from university 28 years later. And after that, I tried the music industry. I mean, you know, Cathy, it's hard, isn't it?
Yeah. It's
It's
not
hard.
easy. And I always bring this in. I always say how Rishi says we should retrain and find other jobs. And I totally disagree, because entertainment is absolutely our heart. And there is no other job for people who love this particular career. There's no alternative, but it is hard. It's tough. What's your feeling about that?
I mean, I think that he's talking a load of, because I think, quite honestly, look at how much the entertainment business creates. Theatre, obviously, when COVID hit, it was massively affected, you know. But if you look at the revenue of how much entertainment brings into, you know, like I said, theatre, and sort of, you know, just even people come to London just to watch the theatre,
Yeah.
you know, literally people. You know, I've got friends who are script writers. I've got friends that are performers. I've got friends that do everything. It's like, it saying it's not a proper job is absolute naff. And just saying, for him to experience how much joy it brings other people, you know, seeing art, listening to music. Since doing it, I have personally found it to be healing for me.
Yeah.
Massively healing. Music is the way that I reconnect, and with myself. I ground myself. I have, you know, that I can shut everything away. It's therapy, but it's also fun. It's an amazing thing, and the arts. It is hard. It's hard, but then so is every job. You
Yes.
know what I mean? If you want to do it successfully, you need to put the work in. You need to have strong shoulders. You need to be determined. You need to not listen to um, negativity. You know, it's very much driven by yourself and how much you want it. Um, and you know, I think that the reason it didn't work for me in music is purely because of the age I was, and also as well, I was in the 90s. It was like quite, for a young girl going into music in the 90s was a minefield.
I just want to ask Samira, how was it in the music industry in the 90s? Just explain that a little bit more.
Um, so it was tough for women. So I think that there was a perception of a female musician, right? The way you looked, the way you sounded, the way that you were managed, the way that your opinions, your your ability to have a voice as well. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I know that I was very much. I remember going to one audition, and it was a management contract, and I was literally measured,
Yeah.
like physically measured.
Yeah.
I was measured. They were taking my bust measurements, my hips, my. There was an idea of a diet program. There was physical kind of like programs put in place. They wanted me to change my hair. They wanted me to wear my makeup a certain way. Um, Vocally wise, I was not really. I'm a songwriter, but I wasn't at the time allowed to put my input in singing very much.
You weren't allowed.
No, it was very
So
much
there was
like
no personal artistry then.
a friend of mine. We got signed to a Norwegian jazz label, and in my innocence and a little bit of stupidity, I signed it. But the contract was in Norwegian,
Oh no.
so to me, I was like, I'm getting
Well, we're
signed.
excited. We're excited. Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
money's coming. No. No.
What
I thought
happened?
I ended up signing my contract, and then we made a song. We made an album actually.
So, the music industry, the contract that you signed in Norwegian, did you learn Norwegian after you'd signed it?
My best friends, my two best friends are Norwegian, so I can understand quite a lot of it,
Wow.
and I do have a big affiliation with Norway because of my friends.
Yeah.
But note to self, when you are signing something, all is not what it seems. you know,
Wow.
we made a video, and in hindsight, I mean, I'm not even exaggerating. There was a helicopter involved. There was, a wardrobe, a makeup artist. It was in a studio. It was so much fun, but ultimately, I made no money from it whatsoever
Oh, I
at,
see.
at all. I made experience wise, it was great. And even the translation broke down when in an album, my credit at the end where I wrote my piece got translated wrong. And it
Oh,
meant the world to me because I actually dedicated it to my great grandma who died when she was 98. Massive influence to me. And I'd like to dedicate this to my grandma. She means the world to me. And they'd interpreted it as, this is for all the great grandmas in the world. And I was furious because I was like, I didn't say that. And it went to print. So,
oh.
note to self, don't sign something in Norwegian, or at least learn the language completely. Um,
But what I'm hearing is though that on the bright side, a great
yeah.
opportunity.
Oh,
You
massive.
so you created a music video with some other
Yeah.
artists, yeah? That's
Yeah.
amazing. And is that something that's available for people to see?
No, thank gosh we didn't have YouTube back then. There is a copy somewhere. But to be honest with you, that's the one thing I do regret about Lipper was it was the age of the video.
Yeah,
So there is probably actually they might have put everything that we've done onto
a big
onto
database website.
yeah, because you could go into the library and it was video after video after video, and there was probably 300 performances that I did there of open mic nights and performances. Even our final graduation I've just found where Paul McCartney talks has just been put on YouTube. I found out this morning, actually, bizarrely enough. So I will go digging. But it's kind of like life goes so quickly, and
Yes.
especially when you go from being in a non social media world, which we were, because that was back then. There was no, well, there was internet, but it was very limited. And I'm so grateful because we were present in the moment then.
I was just going to say there are
Yeah,
pros to the technological advancements. I've
yeah,
got electromagnetic sensitivity, so for me, it's a negative personally. But the positives are obviously we can connect, and certainly we can do today's podcast. But the negatives are I think we're getting a little bit too isolated,
100%.
community wise. And
Absolutely.
what's your view on that, Samira?
I think I think as somebody who I use it wisely now. I haven't in the past. I've shared my life on it because I'm an oversharer by nature.
Or an open book?
Yeah, massively. And sometimes, especially when Facebook and everything started, there was the tendency to just like bleh, you know,
Yes.
and kind of especially in my diction, I've learned to like step back a little bit because I need to tell people what I want and to also be in control of the narrative. You know, I see in my art stuff, in my makeup stuff now how damaging it can also be to the younger generation.
I was just going to say that. What's your view
Oh,
in support of them today,
very
Samira?
scary. I am petrified because it's a minefield for a kid now.
Yeah.
You know, you are looking at, so look at TikTok of how many makeup companies sponsor people to blow up their product, talk about how amazing it is. So as a kid, oh my gosh, I should be buying that, I should be wearing that. If I don't wear it, am I not cool enough? Have this product, makeup looks. I'm just about to do some prom makeups.
Okay.
These days I'm a very natural makeup person, as in I like to look at people's features and aesthetics of bringing their eyes out or whatever, not to completely, redo
Yes.
their face so they don't look anything like themselves.
So would you agree today there's a little bit of an overemphasis on
Oh, massive.
the amount of makeup, which wasn't our personal look years ago, but now today it seems to be over application of makeup, so we're almost losing our own identities and our own personal beauty that we don't celebrate anymore. We become so as I've spent my career, so sort of looking at yourself and not liking what you see, and there's a lot of that. And then if you then add a load of makeup as a mask on top, particularly for children today, you've almost got to chisel it off today. It's just like you and I had on stage. Our stage makeup was very much like that, but that's because there's high levels of lighting. Children today, I think we need to go right back, strip back, and as you said, make it a very beautiful, clean, clear, an accentuation of beauty as opposed to hiding who you are. Would you agree with that?
100%. I mean, look at your, my nieces, right, are stunning. I mean, I'm just saying it because I'm their auntie, but they are. And, I worry that they have to be influenced. I mean, they're not, because they're their own people, but at that age, so one is 18 and one is 15, but at that age, I don't think I wore makeup at 15. I maybe wore a bit of Constance Carroll lipstick. Do you know what I mean?
Today, people are basically wearing a little bit, perhaps too much makeup. What were you describing there? People today are wearing concealer and...
Oh, so, okay, so skincare to start, right? So I know mothers who last Christmas they were buying for their children skincare. We're talking 14-year-olds, right? Spending 70, 80 pounds on skincare. Yeah. And I'm not even exaggerating. So it would be you've got brands that are putting themselves in the social media kind of sort of advertisements and that for kids at 14, 15. They want people like Drunk Elephant, which is a skincare brand. A moisturizer is £60, but it's cool to have that. So that's your skincare. And then you've got, by the way, I do like Drunk Elephant. I'm not dissing it, but at 15, you don't know what's going on. So, I was a simple girl, as in simple makeup. Your primer, your foundation, your concealer, your highlighter, your brows, your eyelashes, your eyelash tints, your eyebrow tints, your powder, then your lip liner. What's that? 8, 9 products.
Yeah.
For one face.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it starts to not be fun anymore. You're building, and also as well, you're covering up. We all have imperfections, celebrate those.
Yeah.
Rather than, I know that I have hereditary dark circles under my eyes. I've always had them since day dot. In all my old photos, you can see them. I've never been embarrassed about them. I've never, it's just who I am. But these days, it's like, well, if you've got dark circles, you to cover them up with a colour corrector and then a concealer and then a powder on top. 3 products. That's 70 quid there, right there.
Wow.
So I just feel that we've exasperated so much, of kind of just it must be difficult to be a kid and to be
Today.
facing this stuff when.
And can I also add as well, we're now moving into this time zone, which I don't think is a good thing, of putting Botox and other
Yeah,
extremely toxic
yeah.
products, because I'm very anti-toxins,
Oh, yeah.
and after my journey, and that we're putting these highly toxic products into the skin to
Yeah,
retain youth, they say,
yeah,
lip enhancements, cheek enhancements, and the works. And once
yeah.
again, we're moving into an age where we're actually losing our own identity through these advancements, and
It's
we're all going to look
scary.
exactly the same, and they're not conducive with good health, which is what this podcast is all about. So a little bit of
Well, what's
makeup.
botulism? What's
Yeah.
botulism? Botulism is it's used for war.
Yes.
It's used in bombs. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It is a very. I remember I was working at a place. I won't name where I was working, but I was working at a place and I was working with a lot of young girls. And at that certain point, it was cool to get your lips done,
Yeah.
right? And I think the girls were maybe 17, 18. And for me to start messing around with your kind of your face in such an extreme way.
Yeah.
I do have a friend who's had Botox for about 20 years. Her face, she wouldn't mind me saying this because we talk about it all the time. She's had it that much that she kind of, I don't know if she's smiling or she's not sometimes.
Right.
Because it has
Oh,
completely stopped all movement in her face. She's happy with it. I mean, and good for her if that's what you want.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's up to the individual, but there comes a point where it's almost as well, it's like, when does it stop?
Yes.
Like, how much you start getting stuff done when you're younger, and then it's a little bit more, and it's a little bit more. And I have thought sometimes of having a little bit here or a little bit here, but then I've actually thought about it and I've thought, do I want to trust a foreign product
Yeah.
in my face
Yeah.
that I can't take back, that I can't reverse, that I can't, once you do it, you press the button, go, that's it. And then the thing is, you start it, you have to maintain it,
Yeah.
and then it
And it's the
is.
financial expense, never mind anything
Oh,
else. If the
yeah,
and then it becomes only the elite can look this particular
yeah,
way and
yeah,
celebrate, and again, then it's not available for people who can't afford those things, and they're then aspiring to that. And it's a whole big market. I mean, it's a huge financial market, and as we both obviously have worked as makeup artists, I think what we can celebrate is an enhancement of beauty. As I said earlier,
mhm,
that's fundamentally something that you have this gift in, which is to look at a piece of art like the piece of art above you, which is the person's face, and accentuate their beauty, much like we
yeah,
did in childhood, as you said, when we had our own little makeup boxes as children.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
that's a
totally, totally.
celebration, and I think you're absolutely right there. So what would your advice be to anybody listening to this regarding makeup and self-worth? Because really, I know myself, I wore makeup every single day,
Mhm.
even at school, because my skin's so white, and I look like I'm in the Addams family. I
No,
always say that
oh, come
I look like the
on.
woman in black, the Ring.
No, you absolutely don't. Absolutely.
And I mean, I've
Gosh.
got a lot more colour now
I actually
because
think that you have not aged at all. You look, but I was thinking about this. Sorry, I'm just digressing. I was thinking about this earlier today about our perception of what it is to be older, right?
yes,
And for me, when I look at people like yourself, who I've known for a long time, and I remember back when we were younger, to me, I don't think we've changed that much.
We haven't. You look
No,
exactly the same. Absolutely.
you know what I mean? I think that, yeah, I mean, I'm 50 next year, and I don't feel 50 at
No.
all in any way, shape, or form. I think we all look flipping good because, but and going back to that thing about the advice is, I think that when you are 19, 20, and you're faced with all these images of what's the perfect um face, symmetrical, tanned,
Yes.
all this, you know what, right? I know that I feel the most, I say beautiful, but I do, when I've got no makeup on,
Yeah.
when I have taken my wig off or my headscarf off. I feel when I'm wearing my comfortable clothes, when I am with good people, having good conversation, good food, that's when I feel at my most beautiful. When I'm dolled up, I feel anxious all the time.
Wow. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, I feel anxious because I'll pose a certain way, or I'll look a certain way, or I feel like I'm having pictures taken, or and then I'll be checking my makeup constantly, and there's a pressure to maintain that, again, talking about that mask, it's a mask. My mum always says to me she loves it when I'm not wearing makeup. My ex-boyfriends have always said you look the most attractive when you're not wearing makeup. It's because we are programmed to think that that is beautiful. And now this whole AI thing's coming into play. This is scary. I don't know if you've seen the new Dove advert.
No, go on.
Oh, it's amazing. It's a woman that types into Google the most beautiful woman in the world, and this AI woman comes up, symmetrical, clear skin, sort of perfectly blow dried hair. And then it's like, really? And then it goes on to just show beautiful women, which is everyday women, with warts and all. I Having alopecia has taught me that beauty really is from within.
Yeah,
And love,
100%. And
you know.
I think that comes with maturity and age as well, because
Yes,
you and I, as you quite rightly said, particularly in the 90s, it was very much focused on, as you said, measuring you, weight. You'd get through a West End audition and then suddenly they'd say, well, hang on a minute, because I was very short. So I was told if I wore those Spice Girls 90s buffalo boots that I might
are
get
you
through.
serious?
So I
Oh,
used to, I used to literally have to hold my leg in the air, but also a 2-inch heel of a buffalo boot. So when I'm
same.
auditioning, I'm
Yeah,
holding the whole
yeah,
foot and
yeah,
beyond.
yeah.
Luckily, I'm hypermobile, but the main thing is
But
that
still, that's
those
crazy.
those were the pressures, because you don't
Yeah.
get seen if you are 5'2", but you would get seen if you were 5'4". And I remember holding the boots at the end of an audition. I got through to the end. It was with Carolyn Bolton, and I say this in my book, this story. And I held the boots at my side because he said, "Take your shoes off." So I'd done all the dance auditions. I was sweating, and then I held the boots up, and he said, "Go home. You've wasted my day." So that was a raw, sort of brutal reality of, well, because
Wow.
I want to fit the costume, and
Yeah,
that's a
I
part and
mean,
parcel of the package.
that's
But
incredible.
very, very brutal industry, as you quite rightly said, but
Yeah.
also very rewarding. So you've got the side of it that's difficult in terms of image, as you quite rightly
Mhm,
said, looks,
mhm.
talent, and do you fit this? What's your inside leg measurement? Your neck? I didn't know my neck mattered, and it was always what's your neck
That's
measurement.
insane.
And And I had tonsillitis a lot back then, so it was twice as big. So, but the main thing is you quite rightly said, as we age as well, I think it comes with a maturity and age. It doesn't matter what you look like. And that's something that I never believed that I would say, because like yourself, I was locked into that feeling that it really does matter what we look like. And I think perhaps children today are also feeling that. So what would you inspire somebody today who was looking in the mirror, didn't like what they saw, self-reflection? What would words of wisdom would you give to somebody today, Samira, that's in your shoes, worried what they look like, maybe in this industry as well, which is a difficult industry as well as rewarding? What would you inspire somebody to feel today, Samira?
I think it's also about encouragement from your friends, peers, and family. I think it's very easy to say to someone, well, just, you're perfect as you are, or you're wonderful, and you can have someone tell you a million times over. But I think it's really about who is surrounding you with love and positivity. And also as well is like what it's not just about beauty that makes you happy. It's about what you get out of life as well.
Yeah.
I found that when I lost my hair, it was like I thought the world was over, because I was suddenly had this whole thing that was, again, part of my mask.
Yeah.
It was like my armor taken away from me, but I had a strong crew around me. I had my family, I had my friends that went, you look the same. Your positivity is still there. If you are a positive person, I think it will help you. It will help you to gain more confidence.
Yeah.
To be yourself.
Yeah.
And acceptance as well. Accepting that this is who you are. This is your vessel. This is what we have. This is what we were born with. As soon as you accept that this is it, this is your, and see your imperfections as perfections.
100%.
Because, and they are your superpowers at the end of the day. I see my baldy as a superpower because, it's a conversation starter.
Yes.
It stops me from hiding away from things. It's also kind of like when you, the amount of times I've been told, have you got a lovely shaped head? And I'm
you
like,
have, it's beautiful. Yes.
But I never knew that. You know what I mean? I was like, really? I think if you stop to look so much at what will make you perfect, and stop looking for the answers and just accept that this is who I am. Don't get me wrong, I love makeup, right?
Yes.
I love it. Obviously it's my job, but I love looking at makeup, the textures, the packaging, all that kind of stuff. But I know that I can't wear a lot of eye makeup because with age comes a lot of like wrinkles and creases and stuff. So learn to know what works for you. Learn to accentuate your features. If you've got full lips, accentuate those. If you've got long eyelashes, find yourself a great mascara. If you've got, find something that is a focal point on your face and just run with that. Don't feel that you have to have the whole shebang, because you don't at all. And
I think on that note as well, as you say, to inspire our nieces and nephews and people who were growing up and starting to look at body image and those types of things, and our face and all the rest of it. What I learned from my journey with having ME, especially when I was bedbound, was none of that matters. And I remember saying, if I can get dressed one day, that would be the joy. And if I can ever walk again, that would be the pleasure. And rather like your own journey, which we're going to hear more about. So what happens when something tragic happens to us? We've got two roads, and we either sink or swim. And what I admire about yourself is that you continue to swim, you continue to inspire others with your story, and that is what makes you a piece of gold, Samira. So what I also know is that when we are self-obsessed, when we are body conscious, as I was throughout my entire career, largely because I chose to wear leotards on stage and I'm in my late 30s. So as Jessie J tribute. But what I learned now is it doesn't matter what you look like on the outside. I focus on heal from within. So we spend a lot of time putting all these products onto our exterior, hair dye, all these different products that are actually quite damaging to our health if we step back from them.
Oh yeah.
And if we, and if we understand that what people see, what I see in you and all of my beautiful friends is their obvious outside beauty in all of you, but also your inner beauty, and that is what is the most important thing. Our heart is what matters most, and I think that while ever we're reveling in self-doubt and self-worth, we're not actually in, as you quite rightly said, we're not in and enjoying the moment. And when we were children, like younger than the teens, we never thought about those things perhaps so so much. And I now will sit by rocks and stones and throw stones in the water, as you said, with no makeup on, stripped away from anything. And that's where I feel most at peace. And I think inner peace,
connecting to nature.
That's
Absolutely.
it.
Connecting to nature. I could not agree more with you. It's so easy to be influenced. So easy to be influenced about what is beautiful. It's just about being simplistic in life. And like you said as well, is the fundamentals of who you are as a person. Okay. I would much rather be known as being a kind person.
Yes.
For my looks.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? I would much rather be known for being able to listen and be present with someone than what I was wearing.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
You don't, I wouldn't meet someone and go, oh my gosh, she's got amazing lips, that one, I'd be like, wasn't she kind? Wasn't she lovely? Didn't she actually listened to what I was saying? She was, you know what I mean? That, I think that's the values that, again, that we were taught when we were kids.
Yeah.
And I'm very lucky with my nieces and nephews. I don't have children myself, but I'm very lucky that they all have such good values, which my siblings have taught them, as good, honest, kind people.
Yeah.
And I think that's more important than, like you say, this is a vessel. You can put anything on it, but what's in your heart is like, you can't make that stuff up.
And when we die, that's the fundamental value of life. People don't remember what car you drove, what job you did. What they will remember is, were they a good person and did they have a good heart? And I think that transcends today's podcast, because I think both of us have that great message, which is so true. And as I say, when we are locked in self-doubt, self-judgment, and those insecurities, we actually forget to live and enjoy today, because we're so worried about what other people might think and perceive. And that's partly why I don't wear any makeup anymore myself. It's liberated me, because I wore it my whole life, and Oh, well, that's very kind, but it's hard to take compliments.
Yeah, but you know what? I think it's also very courageous as well, because it is drummed into us in adverts, in social media, in everything, that you should look a certain way. I kind of forgot about that in definitely the last 3 years. Not forgot. I decided to step away from that in the last 3 years because of all the things that have happened. And now it's like, I get my happiness in other ways. It's making other people happy, because that makes me happy.
That's exactly perfect, Samira. So helping others actually makes us happy, and that transcends the next part of what I want to ask you, which is your recent journey that you've had, Samira. So thank you for what you've shared. What was it that happened to you recently? Because this is going to hopefully inspire and support other people, I'm sure, globally.
Next Tuesday, I'll be 9 months sober.
Wow.
Yeah. So I am a recovering alcoholic. Really
Okay.
very comfortable saying now because it's who I am.
Mm.
It's taken me a long time to say it, and it's taken me a long time to realize it, but but I've been through pretty much the worst, I'd say worst 2 years of my life completely. And it was a very, I'd say, although the last 2 years were a very nosedive kind of journey with alcohol, like the health side of it went very, very wrong very quickly. I've always had a little bit of an unhealthy relationship with alcohol because suddenly I was gone from Broughton, tiny village, to Liverpool. Wow. Okay, so 50p for a pint, blah 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 blah. 2 for 1 cocktails, and it was ruthless every single night. Going out, burning the candle. So you do, but I was at the age where I could do that, and it didn't
Yes.
affect work. Then I moved to London. I got very big into the dance scene, so I was going clubbing a lot, drinking as well, just enjoying life really. Again, I could stop as well, so I wasn't. But as the as the kind of years since I've been looking back on how much alcohol I consumed, I enjoyed it a lot, like a lot. But the kind of sort of poop hit the fan when I was when COVID hit. And
Okay.
I went from being a really kind of busy person to suddenly nothing to do, like nothing. You know, I my days were doing everything that the government required, as in said we could do your sort of you could have an hour's walk a day, and stuff. But I was living in a tiny flat with my flatmate and her son. It was very, very small, and there was just nothing that I was doing. So it became very easy for me to then start drinking. And it was started off at 6 o'clock in the evening, and then it crept back to 5, then 4, and then suddenly I was opening a bottle of wine at 12 o'clock, yeah, whacking on that and not thinking anything about it.
How were you feeling inside yourself that led you to start drinking like this?
Um, well, I went from feeling really, I mean, I'd started to miss the North before COVID. London is a great place when you have everything going for you.
Yes.
When you have the money, I was in a relationship that afforded me a nice lifestyle. I was doing a lot of makeup. I was being booked for big campaigns. I was doing a bit of singing. So I was living a really nice London lifestyle. When my relationship broke down and I became single and I started living on my own, I ended up just not really knowing who I was anymore. I didn't, my identity was gone. And remember that thing we were talking about, putting on a brave face? No one knew. Nobody knew, because I was all smiles and laughter. And,
Yeah.
even to this day, people look at me and they're like, what, you're
Yeah.
what, you always have your stuff together,
Yeah.
I'm
Because they
like,
look up to you, those people look up to you and think, well, they're confident, they've got it all sorted. And then
yeah,
when you have, as you say, removing of the armor, the mask, that then makes others go, well, if they're feeling like that, what's going on in my life? So it's a great thing
exactly.
that you're sharing this, Samira. It's incredible.
Yeah,
So
it's a horrible place to be because alcohol is very easy to get hold of. It's very easy to consume. It went from being a bottle of wine. I mean, I can timeline it, and I have done. It went from being I was a red wine drinker, so I was what I call a posh drinker.
Okay.
So I would only drink Malbec, and I would always make sure I had some cheese with it. I mean, it
On
sounds
some little sticks.
yeah, it sounds ridiculous, but in my head, I was sort of overcompensating for the fact that this was something that I knew was wrong, but in my head, I was just having a little picnic in my room.
Yes. Yes.
I had, some stuff on at night. I look back on my Facebook over that time, and I'm always posting, "Oh, I'm just having a little picnic on my own." Always a glass of wine in the pictures. Always a glass of wine.
So your relationship had broken down prior
Yeah.
to the COVID circumstance, and you are now in a small place, as you
Yeah.
say. And how did that make you feel? Because you were unable to work, I would assume, in the makeup industry. So were you furloughed? Were you in a position where you could financially cope as well, Samira? Or did all that come tumbling down as well? What was your circumstances?
So my makeup work I was doing, but I was also working full time because it was quite sporadic, my makeup at that time. I was working as kind of, I was working in Canary Wharf, where I was managing a barber's, and it was
Okay.
a very high end one in Canary Wharf. So it was, I mean, footfall of, we'd have 100 clients a day easily. For COVID hit, I was doing makeup at the weekends. COVID hit, nothing. So at that time, Canary Wharf, if anyone knows Canary Wharf,
Yeah.
it's the banking sort of hub of the South. So you have all the major banks there, HSBC, all of them. And it went from being an absolute thriving place to nothing. It was like a ghost town. So then my boss decided that we were told to close. He hung on for dear life until we
Oh,
were told, you have to close now. So then we were furloughed. So I was at home, I was still paying rent, blah, 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 but I wasn't doing anything. I had no travel to pay. I'd had a little bit of money in the bank, but I wasn't doing anything. The money that I was being furloughed, I was just spending on alcohol, and that was it.
right.
And Amazon.
And
Awful.
Amazon,
So I
well,
was buying
yeah,
stuff I didn't
yeah.
need. Yeah. So I was buying stuff I didn't need, and I ended up in hospital because I one night had my heart basically started. I started getting heart palpitations that were really like nothing I'd ever felt. My health prior to this was fine. I'd never had any complications. I'd never even broken anything. I'd never. The only thing that I had wrong with me is I've got asthma and eczema. That's it. Nothing
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
So I knocked on my friend's door and I went, something's wrong. I don't know. Ambulance was called. They took my blood pressure. It was through the roof, literally through the roof. So I was in hospital for 2 weeks and that was the first time they said to me, you've got a fatty liver. So a fatty liver, for those who don't know, is the start of where your liver's struggling. Okay. Alcoholic fatty liver is where, your liver is starting to not be able to process the toxins in the alcohol. That's where you go, right, I need to look at what's going on now. But I didn't. I was like, and I Googled it, and it was like, it wasn't, I think it was like stage 2 in a stage 5 series of when it gets serious. So I was like, yeah, I'm fine. So
And how much were you drinking, Samira, at this time?
definitely a bottle of wine a day.
Yeah.
Possibly 2.
Possibly
Possibly.
2. Spaced out over a period of time, so you'd start at 12 o'clock and then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'd normally drink a bottle, have a snooze, and then get another bottle.
Okay.
Because the first bottle would send me to sleep,
Yeah.
and then you'd wake up and then you'd need more alcohol. The shop where I live, right next to me, literally, there's my front door, there's the shop, knew me by name, which is not a good thing when you've
Yes.
knew my
Don't you think it's interesting,
um
Samira, that the shops that did remain open were selling alcohol, and yet a
absolutely,
barbers or
absolutely,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's
Oh,
interesting.
any other shop, was
Mm.
closed, but alcohol, yeah. And since this whole kind of thing, I've found out just how serious the problem is for the country with alcohol. How many alcoholics were
How many people have gone through what you have in this
yeah,
lockdown scenario?
through that, yeah.
Goodness me.
So anyway, I ended up in hospital, came back, and I ended up just carrying on drinking, to be fair. And it was that beautiful summer, and I actually went home. Sorry. I went home. I came back to Preston because I needed to recoup a little bit. And my mum and dad got a caravan because they wanted me to, we had to do the whole, um, you had to isolate for 2 weeks before you could go into someone's house and stay with them. So we did that. I hated it because it was just tiny, and
Oh,
yeah, went home, had was living in a caravan whilst I was self-isolating for 2 weeks till I could move back into the parents' house. And it was that glorious summer. I don't know if you remember that
yes.
stunning summer. But the first thing I did, and my mum and dad knew that that I'd been in hospital with complications with my liver. But the first thing I did was go to the co-op and buy a bottle of wine. So that was a way that I could not let them see me drinking, because I was in a caravan, so I could go out and, you
Yes.
become very sneaky when you're an alcoholic, very sneaky. And it's
Okay.
you anything to get the alcohol, you will do, literally. And anyway, I went back to London, and then I went back to London after, I think, just at the end of summer, and then it just turned into, yeah, I mean, that's when I discovered vodka, which, once you go down that road, then it's game over. It really is. There is no turning back unless you want to turn back.
Yeah.
So I was then drinking a bottle or two, and then vodka. And then I decided to move back to Preston because I just couldn't handle it in London anymore. I got a flat um, in Winkley Square, and then it very quickly snowballed from drinking so much that I started having seizures. I was My mom ended up having to get a key cut because she did not know what state I was going to be in. Um, I was on the my best friend Julia. She would have been Julia Melling
Oh,
back then.
yes.
Yeah. So me and Ju were on the phone, and I ended up fitting whilst on the phone to her, and she ended up having to call the ambulance. She lives in St Albans. Call the ambulance whilst on FaceTime with me.
Yeah.
And again, it had gone past kind of any I was still in denial, by the way. I was
Yeah. Well,
still in
that's it.
denial.
That's why you were still doing you're still
I
reliving
I,
it.
I was
Yeah.
I could stop whenever I wanted. My body said
Yeah.
otherwise.
Yeah.
I started going to a place in Preston called Inspire, which was a alcohol kind of group, a help group,
Yeah.
and they actually said to me to start reducing my alcohol, which did not work for me, because they're saying buy a bottle of vodka, but have so much every hour. But then when you put a bottle of vodka in someone's house and say you can only have that much, that's like saying giving a shopaholic £1 million and saying just spend £10.
Yeah.
but leave the rest.
Or a
You know,
chocoholic. I used to be a
yeah,
chocoholic. It's like giving me a box
yeah,
of chocolates and saying just have one.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. So I was just like, yeah. So we tried everything. At that time, my health was deteriorating. I'd gone down to, I mean, I've always been a size 12. I was a 8, bordering a 6. I was extremely thin, very gaunt. And then the kind of sort of pinnacle of everything was when I went to the nurse at Inspire. He looked at me and he went, "You need to go to hospital right now." I was yellow,
Yeah.
like yellow, like lemon yellow. My eyes were yellow. I was not making sense. But to me, so my mum was going to take me to the hospital. What's the first thing I wanted to do? Can we just go home? Because I wanted to get some alcohol.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted. And I remember going to the hospital and they admitted me within, I think, 20 minutes. They
Yeah.
did an ECG, it was through the roof. They took I was devoid of electrolytes. I had no, I'm anemic anyway, but I was a mess. I was a mess. You know, nutritionally, I had nothing in me because I hadn't eaten. That's the other thing as well. I hadn't eaten. I don't eat, but I was good at cooking. Like,
Right.
so I would never actually physically eat. So I went
So
down to
would you say that was an eating disorder on top of the
probably,
alcohol,
yeah, probably, yeah.
potentially caused by, so the toxins in the alcohol were taking away the desire to eat food potentially?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. No, babe. When my mum went to the flat, because I gave up my flat when I went to rehab, she found so much frozen meals that I'd made. You know, she was like, "There's like 50 frozen meals in your freezer." So, you know, it wasn't like I couldn't have eaten. I didn't want to. And then the next 2 weeks were just a daze. I was given Librium, which is a withdrawal drug. I was in and out of consciousness. It was horrible. It was, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. I
Yeah.
just wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. And all because of a liquid that I chose to drink because, you know,
That was
and
readily available, Samira.
it was ready available with no warning signs that, you know, bless my parents were at their wits' end. My siblings were just, you know, they were heartbroken. They were
Yeah.
absolutely heartbroken. I wasn't allowed to see my nieces and nephew because I was in absolutely no fit state. And who would want to put children through that, seeing their auntie in such a awful way? You
Oh.
know, my friends, I know I'm getting emotional talking about it.
Oh.
It's a
And
horrible.
it's all right. It's okay.
It was a horrible time on my friends and family. And I was just thinking about alcohol because that's what my body was craving.
Mm.
Even though I was off the Librium, I was still thinking, I'm off booze. I can just nip to booths, and you know what I mean. And if it hadn't have been for the what do you call it in my hand, I probably would have gone. You know,
The cannula, the drip.
yeah, I would have gone. And I've since found out a friend of mine who I was in rehab with actually did that, went to booths with her drip. I know, because that's what an
Because you're
alcoholic
so
wants.
desperate. Yeah. Your body is
Absolutely.
craving the
Yeah.
poison that it's got addicted to. Yeah. Because it is poison.
This is why
Yeah.
addiction is, unless you've been in addiction, you don't know how just it's a devil that will just engulf your body, your mind.
Yeah.
You know, you become this person that you don't recognize, that people don't recognize, you know. And that was where I was told, you got to go to rehab, Sam. You're gonna, and the actual the nurse, you've got 2 weeks, literally.
Say that
I'll give
again,
you.
Sam.
The nurse said to me, I had 2 weeks,
Right.
literally. If I'd have carried on drinking, my body would have shut down within 2 weeks.
And is this in Royal Preston Hospital that you were?
Yeah.
And what year was this, Samira?
This was last year.
Last year. Goodness me.
Yeah. So I went to rehab in September of last year. September the 19th.
2023. Yeah.
To rehab, and I was in hospital for 2 weeks prior to that. So it was only beginning of September that I stopped drinking, and I was literally, and I really don't, I'm not exaggerating, I was at death's door. I was
Yeah.
knocking, and then I went to rehab. And
where did you go to rehab, Samira? Are you able to share that?
Yeah, I went to a place called Shardale, which is in St Anne's. It's a program called Choice Theory, which basically strips away everything to do with you. It's about how you make choices, the decisions that you make, how to make, using your life experiences about what decisions have influenced you in your past, why you make decisions going forward, has your past influenced your future, how to deal with trauma, how to deal with childhood trauma, how to deal with, I mean, you've got to get deep and you've got to open yourself up. If you don't commit, you might as well leave. Do you know what I mean? You might as well just say, I'm gonna go. I mean, don't get me wrong, there was people there that were there just because they thought they had to. But my thing is that if I go, I am doing this 100%. Yeah, they said that when they admitted me, they nearly didn't accept me because I was that poorly. And they thought that it wasn't the right place for me because they thought that I was too ill to be able to do the program. I couldn't even walk up the stairs.
Yeah.
I couldn't hold my head up. I couldn't eat. I was on those. Have you ever seen those little drinks called Ensures?
Yes.
Yeah. I was drinking 3 of those a day that I couldn't really stomach. I was falling asleep in every single group. Apparently I slept for the first week. I couldn't get myself out of bed. I think it gave me the time and the space for me to evaluate who I was as a person, reconnect with my values, reconnect with what's important to me, deal with some childhood traumas, that not just childhood traumas, but relationships that I'd never really got over, things that happened in those relationships, feeling a bit like a failure for some things, especially when it came to my career, feeling not really knowing where I sat in life. I became very complacent. I became very, I procrastinated a lot.
Yeah.
And it kind of, so there's 2 things you either can do. There's 2 buttons. You either press the restart or you press the FU button, basically.
Yes.
And I decided to press the restart because,
Well done. Well, that's
know,
an enormous, empowering, inspirational story that you've shared in terms of the inner strength and inner wisdom that you had. You knew because you'd tried again and again, and you'd gone back to London, you'd gone back into that scenario. But we think it's the superficialities on the surface that are the issue, but actually we need the space to go right down deep and pull up wounds. And once the issues are in the tissues, as they say. So as you rip one wound up, another appears, and eventually you get to the core root. And once you're at the core root of any trauma, I feel from my own experience, after that is freedom. And did you feel that, Samira?
Yeah, I mean, I worked so hard in there to understand. So a lot of things came out. One of them was that I am a huge people pleaser, which kind of knew, but I never really thought. There's a fine line of being kind and then being a people pleaser. I hate conflict. I hate feeling uneasy about things. I get quite high anxiety from it,
Yeah.
from feeling like if there's an issue, I would either sort of paper over it or bury my head, or just yeah, I just hated all that, and I was forced to really face things, straight on. If something is upsetting you or annoying you or whatever, say it. You know what I mean? And I've never done that ever in my life.
Yeah.
I've always, like I say, been a people pleaser. It's okay, don't worry, we'll be
Yes.
fine.
Yes.
That kind of thing. And to my detriment,
Yeah.
it's
So you had to
gone
learn to set healthy boundaries, is what I'm hearing.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I did 6 months, which is the longest that you can do there for the program.
Okay.
I was very lucky to be given that time. But it was, I would say it was the program, but it was also as well the chance for me to be away from everything, for me to sit with myself. It's why I got into my painting. It's why I did a lot of reading when I was in there, because every electronic device is taken off you, so you have no connection to the outside world. You're
Good.
allowed 10 minutes of a phone call to a
Yeah.
loved one and a weekly visit, and that was pretty much with my family or a couple of my best friends, and that was it. But the rest of the time is group work, self-reflection, a lot of things like journaling. I still journal every day,
Yes.
which I
Yes.
massively believe in.
I do
um
too. Journaling is absolutely incredible. And have you read
yeah.
the book The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron?
No.
Because, yeah, right, well, that's something I discuss in my book.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
absolutely inspired me years ago when I couldn't move, so I could
Oh,
barely write or
okay.
anything. And that inspired me, obviously, to eventually write my book. And you've
Yeah,
obviously been inspired by that wisdom that's been brought down from your lovely mum with your painting. So you're already
yeah,
expressing yourself the way that Julia Cameron
yeah.
writes, which is basically trying to journal. She suggests, sorry, 3 pages of A4 a day,
Mhm.
to eliminate anxiety or fear so that you don't
Yeah.
take
Oh
that
gosh.
into the day. And I do think journaling is incredible. And something that I also do now is, after 10 years of doing it, I'm now collating those journals, and anything that I feel is no longer valid to me, I get a burner in the back garden and do like
Oh,
a
do
healing,
you?
yes, like a healing
Yeah,
ceremony with
amazing.
cacao powder,
Oh,
drink, and letting it all burn away and saying goodbye to the past, which I highly recommend as well. Something to
oh
think
gosh.
about.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for that, and going forward from that. So with rehab, when I left, I was like, right. I said to all my family and my friends, this is where it's now. As in, there's a new start. I don't want to go back. So, people worry about me relapsing. Have I given you a reason for you to worry? If there isn't, we don't talk about it. Okay.
Yes,
If
yes,
there's something from the past that, I mean, as I said, I'm very transparent about it. So I will answer anyone's question, whatever, but it doesn't define me, my rehab. It doesn't, it's gone, it's done. I dealt with everything. From this point onwards now is where I will be present in
yes.
my life, using my experiences for good. But also, I don't procrastinate anymore. I don't,
Wow.
I want to do something, I'll do it,
So it's given you the therapy has given you the get up and go that was perhaps
Oh,
starting to
100%.
drain in the
Yep,
London life, particularly
yep,
in isolation, particularly in the
yep,
darkest time probably ever
yep.
in history that we all went through.
Yeah.
How did you, within your recovery, how did you get from the position you were in the beginning, not to dwell on the
Mhm,
intimacies,
mhm.
but how did you physically and mentally cope with the program?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is you've got to want to change. End of,
Yeah.
you go in with the mindset of, well, you know, I still like, there was people in there that were just like, well, you know, I'll come out, but I could maybe just have one drink or blah blah blah. You Once you are an alcoholic, you're an alcoholic. That's it. I can never touch alcohol again. One, I don't want to. B, I can't. There's no off
Yes.
switch for me. Okay. So first of all, you have to commit to the fact that that's not going to be part of your life anymore. Okay. You have to want to change your mindset completely and open yourself up to the possibilities that you need to rediscover who you are as a person,
Yeah.
you know, to understand the way that you work, why you do the things that you do, good or bad, you know.
Yes.
You have to acknowledge that it's okay that this has happened. It's okay because, you know, life is a learning experience. So if you can take stuff away from it and use it for good, then, you know, it's something that, yeah, it's crappy, but you want to turn it around. It's not easy. Oh my goodness, it is not easy. Rehab was the hardest thing I've ever done. You're away from your family, you're away from simple things like being in charge of your own life. I couldn't just nip to the shop, grab myself
Mm.
a bar of chocolate. I couldn't just go for a walk if I wanted. We were under lock and key pretty much. It wasn't prison, don't get me wrong. You could walk out whenever you wanted, but the program stated that we were in their care, following their routine, in order for us to retrain ourselves into simple things: routine, structure,
Yes.
self
Purpose.
purpose, self-reflection, self-care.
Yeah.
You know, I like I like looking okay, smelling nice, being clean, blah blah blah. The last, I'd say, month of my alcoholism, I didn't have a shower for 2 or 3 days. You
Yeah.
know, I
Yeah.
was I would sit in my bed for 4 or 5 days with a bottle of vodka. You know, that's, those who know me know that is not who I am, but that's what
Yes.
alcohol does. So
You were poorly, Samira. I think that's a great way
oh,
to define it. You were unwell,
I was
and
unwell.
when we
Yeah,
understand that and we accept it, any traumas, they say in therapy, bring them towards you, don't push them away. And once you start
absolutely.
bringing them towards you, then you can deal with them. But as you quite rightly said, you have to be in a mindset that is able to cope.
Yeah,
As you slowly unpick the layers, and then you
yeah,
find the true Samira underneath,
yeah,
the
yeah,
real Samira, behind the mask, behind the makeup, behind the singer, behind all
yeah,
these beautiful gifts and talents that you've also got as well. You then could resonate and draw and paint and bring out brand new artistic skills, which is a credit to you, because
thank
not
you.
very many people can do what you have just done. And I just want to say on a personal level how incredible I think you are. And not just that, how
Oh,
amazing I always thought you were anyway, Samira, regardless of what you've been through, but how inspirational your story is, because there are so many people who have lost loved ones in the last few years,
oh,
who have been
yeah,
tipped to breaking point in different ways, and
yeah,
you have just shown that there is a way. There is hope, there's a way forward, and if you
there is.
can do it, everybody has that opportunity to do it. And
It is.
congratulations, because I know that must have been extremely hard for you, so well done, Samira.
Thank Catherine. Honestly, Catherine, that just means the world. You know, it's it sounds really kind of like, those who know me knows I'm a hippie at heart. I am.
Yes.
I'm very spiritual. I'm not necessarily religious, but I do believe in like higher powers of spiritualness and all that kind of stuff. And I believe I have a place in this world, and I'm finding out what that is now because I've opened myself up to it.
Yes.
When I was drinking, the only thing that I cared about was what time's the shop open. You know, now I'm not drinking. I have so much more to offer. I
Yeah.
have so much more to give. My conversations are better. My clarity is better. My decisions, my friendship giving, my support with my family. My family have been outstanding.
Brilliant.
There are times I've tested them to the point where, I mean, I kind of didn't speak to a couple of members of my family, not because they didn't want to speak to me at all. They just didn't know how to. They
Yes.
didn't know
Yeah.
because they were hurting so much, but they have shown up all the time. And that again is seeing them now and building those relationships with them is everything to me. And that's better than anything I've ever done in my life, is
Yes.
having my family back. My mum said to me, I'm gonna get emotional again. My mum said to me, she went on holiday recently and she said, I said, "How are you having fun?" And she's like, "Yeah." She said, "Do you know what, Sam?" She said, "I can sleep. I can
Oh,
not sleep." Because in the past, she would go to sleep wondering what state I was going to be in, if I was going to be fine in the morning. She's like, I can sleep knowing that you're okay.
yes.
And that itself was worth every single second I was in there working on myself, like going to those deep, dark places. And now it's like, right, okay, you know what? I really, really 100% believe it was meant to happen for me, because
Yes.
I think that had I not hit rock bottom, I wouldn't have been able to have the mindset that I do now.
You are
You know,
now a much more congruent, authentic
yeah,
Samira. It's finding your authentic self, is what they say
yeah,
in when you train in therapy. Finding your
yeah,
authentic self, and what you have done is find who Samira really is
yeah,
underneath the
yeah,
facade that we all have, no matter
yeah,
whether we're in entertainment or
yeah.
sports or whatever. And whatever we are going through, whatever those traumatic circumstances are that prelude to those events, it's not your fault, is what I would share with the audience.
Mm.
It's absolutely not your fault at all.
It doesn't.
And
You don't choose to be an alcoholic. You don't go. If someone, I think I'd said this to you in the past, that with cigarettes, you can see physically on the box what it will do to your body, to your lungs, to your teeth, that kind of thing. With alcohol, it just says, be aware.
really, so there's no,
Yeah,
I don't drink
drink
myself, so
aware.
I don't really know. So there's not any warning signs.
No, it's drink responsibly, drink aware. Well, from what? Like, what's this going to
Yeah.
do?
What's the
I,
measurements of that? Yeah.
yeah, I had a childhood friend who passed away from alcoholism. Um, at the time, we were like, I didn't know really what it was. I didn't understand it. You just knew that she drank like loads of alcohol and that was it. And you don't really actually think about the logistics of what it takes for your body to
Yeah.
become so reliant on it.
Yeah.
And addiction these days it's huge. Addiction to drugs, addiction to so
Anything.
many
Yeah.
things, you
Television
know.
even. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, shopping, gambling,
Yeah.
food. Food's a huge
It
one.
is. Absolutely.
Sugar,
Yeah.
addiction. When your body says it needs something, there's nothing else around that will stop you doing from what your body tells
Yeah,
you to do.
yeah, yeah. It's a
Um,
physical craving, is what you're saying. So it
yeah,
starts as a mental, not even a choice, because you kind of fall into something, I would
yeah,
assume, in that
hmm
respect. And then eventually, but the great thing about addiction is that there is a way out. And
absolutely,
that's fundamental for
absolutely.
any addiction at all. There
Yeah,
is a way forward because it's an addiction and therefore it's a
yeah,
choice, it's a behavior. And once you unpack that, once you're ready, as you said, to unpack that, then you can get to the root cause of why those behaviors are occurring, and then you can make fundamental,
hmm
wonderful changes ahead. And I want to conclude today's podcast by saying to you, Samira, that what does life now, this exciting, authentic Samira, no longer hiding behind anything,
right.
what does life bring for you ahead, and what ideas have you got moving forwards? And congratulations on sharing all of that. Thank you for being an incredibly inspiring podcast.
Honestly, it's my absolute pleasure, Catherine, not just to see you, which is
Yes.
it's delightful and wonderful, but it's, if someone is watching this and is struggling and is wondering what to do, um, it is to seek help and want to change your life. There is a possibility of doing this, and I am, like you say, I am living proof that you can do it. What life looks for me now is exciting.
Yeah.
It's super exciting. I've got they said to me in rehab, just take one step at a time. But my therapist said to me that, Sam, you are an all or nothing person. And she's
Yes.
bang on the money there, because I am, and I've gone, right, I'm doing life.
Yes.
I'm doing life. I'm a yes person. So I've been out of rehab for nearly 3 months now. I've joined a group of people that are alcohol free. They're called the Flamingos. And we do all kinds of crazy and wonderful stuff. I've been to a sober rave, which was awesome. I went,
Wow. Yeah.
yeah, I went open water swimming, which I've never done.
Brilliant.
um, Walks, we meet for lunches and dinners. I am volunteering, so I do a lot of volunteering. I work with a food club here, where I collect food, and then I work within the community. We're doing Wellness Wednesdays, which is looking at giving community the ability to have things like your nails done and stuff, but not being charged, because obviously cost of living and everything, it's very difficult for people to get some stuff. So I give my time for that. Working in a lovely little coffee shop at the moment, just because I'm getting myself back into work. My mobility was gone,
I
so
was
I
just going
couldn't
to
walk.
say, what's your
Yeah,
physicality of your health like now? Still a little
yeah,
wavery, and what's
yeah.
your liver situation?
Liver's good. Liver's good. They
Lot
thought,
better.
yeah, they thought I had cirrhosis.
Okay.
That was on my last fibroid scan, and then the binge that I had after my fibroid scan, when they did all like the data and everything, they were like, yeah, you will have. They didn't actually give me the proof because I didn't have a scan, but they were like, the amount that you drank
Yeah.
with the way that your liver was. And then when I came out, I went and had my fibroid scan, and I have not got cirrhosis, which
Oh,
is incredible. And but that is a tool in my toolbox,
yes.
because should I drink again, I'll get it. So
You're going to go
you
right back to that. And also,
know,
I think when you've been to a dark place like that, where you're
yeah,
so poorly, and I can only
oh,
reflect on I was poisoned
yeah,
with carbon monoxide, so it's a slightly
yeah,
different journey. But
but
to be
similar.
poisoned by
Yeah,
something, I empathize deeply with that, and the pain is
yeah,
so acute that to if you had a life choice where you were going to put that back into your body, what I hear you saying is, I would
God,
never ever do that again,
it's,
because I mean, next
no,
time you might not be so lucky. And I think that's something for the audience to hear as well, that
absolutely,
it's a
absolutely.
gamble. Yeah.
I don't even drink like alcohol-free beers anymore. I don't drink anything like
No.
that, because the taste is the taste to me. I had an alcohol-free beer at this rave, and I think I had one the whole time. I just didn't enjoy it. I'd
Yeah.
rather have a soda water with lime, or an alternative. And my sister-in-law found me this amazing drink. It's ginger, what's it called? Apple cider vinegar,
Okay.
ginger, and something with soda water and everything. It's delicious. It's called Mother Root. It's amazing. That's my drink now. That's my
Fantastic. And
drink.
I enjoy ginger kombucha, which is
Oh, kombucha's yeah.
another, and it's healing the gut
So
at the
good.
same time. So,
Absolutely.
you
Yeah. My
know,
Heidi, my friend in Norway, she makes kombucha, and the
oh
way she
wow.
makes it, I know, but it's a bit of a process. I
Yes.
was like, okay, I don't think I'll do that. But that's the thing is, I bought something from Asda, which was a alcohol-free drink, spat it straight out because it tasted like rum and coke. So for me, I can't even have alcohol-free stuff. That
Yes.
it's just
Yes.
not my lifestyle.
And also it's sugar. It's also sugar. So people don't realize there's a lot of sugar in a lot of these products. And if you overload your system with sugar, that's not good for you. So so the other lovely inspiring thing that I watched on social media that you were doing was making the hats like you're wearing today for people who have lost their hair, whether they have cancer or alopecia or any other health issue. I thought that was absolutely wonderful. Is that your own business as well, Samira?
So Bella and Bow came about, to be honest with you, with my alcoholism, it kind of stopped, but I will be going there because I've got lots and lots of material. But I was making headscarves for people who either have lost their hair through chemo, through alopecia, any kind of, you know, illness that they have. I do have wigs. I had one that was I was fortunate to have someone raise some money for me for. I love it, but they are a bit of a pain in the butt because they're very itchy. You get really hot and stuff. So I started wearing headscarves just because it's soft and it's cool. So
and you look beautiful, Samira. You really do. And do they come in a range of colours? And can people,
all kinds of colours.
How can people find you before we close today? Because sadly we have reached the end, unfortunately. There's so much more I'm sure we could discuss. Hopefully I'd like to bring you back in the future. I'm sure that there'd be more that we can connect with.
Well, I'll tell you about Bella and Bow. So it's on Facebook, Bella and Bow. But also very, very lastly, I'm doing if anyone's listening and wants to do something, I'm doing a sober choir. Sober choir. So it's a safe place for people to come who are either in recovery, who either have as a lifestyle, that want to do something that is you know, safe. Yes. In a place with like-minded people, and that's the Happy Funk Choir, which is on Facebook as well. But honestly, good times ahead, really good times ahead.
Well, I have to say, I'm sad to close today because you have been an incredibly inspirational guest, Samira. And I look forward to hearing more about all your celebrations ahead. And here's to the next 50 years. I'm 50 soon, and I know you're 50 next year. So instead of life begins at 40, life begins at 50. And and may we continue to enjoy what what things we have learned from our own experiences, and how rewarding the most minimal things, such as a soda, as you say, just a water with a slice of lime, how much more rewarding that is on your body inside and out, and also your mindset, and how it will give you all those positive vibes moving forward. Thank you for sharing today. Thank you for all you do for the community as well, and I wish you all the very best ahead, Samira. God bless you. Thanks for sharing.
Bye.
Bye, love. Bye.